Hi everyone, my name is Mike Geery. I'm a black belt instructor, second degree black belt instructor at Newport Richey Jiu-Jitsu Academy. This is my son Tristan. He's been training in jiu-jitsu since he was, how old? Three. He's actually been on the mat since he was a month old, but he's been officially training since he was 3 and he's now 14. He is going to be my uke today. We're making this video about some subjects that I want to talk about in jiu-jitsu. We're making this during the coronavirus outbreak. There's a lot of academies that have been doing live training sessions and different things like that, or hour training sessions during the week with their students daily. I thought about doing that, but then it made sense to me to actually want to put something together that was a little more than just a class, to really go into some of my ideas about particular subjects in jiu-jitsu and expand on those and really go into a depth on a lot of detail. A lot of times I know from remembering my teacher, Eduardo de Lima, who had me from white to black belt, you know, I'll remember bits and pieces of Eduardo's techniques and how he taught them. It would have been wonderful to have a whole series of stuff on his ideas on a particular subject in jiu-jitsu, like, you know, passing the guard or working at a particular guard, a De La Riva guard or a spider guard that he was so good at. It would be neat to have video footage to be able to reflect back and think about what he taught and remember those things. So I thought this would be a great way to give that to the students. I'm making this video. It's going to be private to my students as a gift. Perhaps afterwards we'll turn it into something and sell it, who knows, but this are going to be my personal thoughts on passing the guard. My hope is that you guys will take what I've said and what I've showed, and it makes your game a little bit better, okay? One of the first things that I notice when we do the closed guard, and the first things I see in jiu-jitsu all the time, it's a small detail, but it's a big detail. Everybody keeps their feet flat. When you're passing the guard and you keep your feet flat, your hips are at a lower height than they can be in relation to your partner, okay? So when I'm here in this position, first thing I do is I always go up to my toes. You look at the difference between being flat on my feet here to the change in the height to here, and how I can place my arms and widen my base. I become a triangle against my partner's movement. When I'm down here like this, all I really have to do to stop my partner is my torso. My legs aren't really engaged at all. I'm just sitting here. I have a wide base, but I'm just sitting here. When I'm on my toes, I can engage my core a lot more. I have more structure. My height has come up, so it's even harder for him to lift. And I can push into him, not just with my arms, but against my feet, pushing my legs in as well. Excuse me. Everything I do in my passing game, the strategy I have is always to get to half guard. I don't have strategies of passing the guard completely, doing the whole technique all the way through passing the guard. My first step is always to get to the half guard. Why? It's easier to pass than the full guard. It's easier to pass than the spider guard. It's easier to pass than the De La Riva guard. I take every guard that I'm in and I try to put it to the half guard. Once I'm at the half guard, the fight becomes a whole lot easier for me as I'm able to move my body in relation to his and gain better leverage each time I make a move. So, simple concepts, keeping our feet up, keeping a good base. The first thing I always do when I work on passing the guard is I pass to my strong side. I'm always passing on my strong side. I don't ever pass to the weaker side. Now, it's not to say that you can't pass to the weaker side or that you shouldn't practice to the weaker side. The concept always came to me from the original days of Gracie is when you get in a fight, you're going to go to your dominant side. So when I'm in a match, I'm going to go to my dominant side. I'm going to use the most tools, the most ability that I have for my body. So, first thing I do, I'm going to pass from kneeling first, and then we're going to move into concepts of standing. I'm going to grab my partner's gi, and I'm going to press into the gi at this point in time. I'll open my other leg to widen the base, and as I do that, still pushing into my partner's chest, I'm going to move my leg, and I'm going to put it right on his tailbone. Okay? So we're right in the butt. It forces him to raise up a little bit. His hips are now up, and he can't use the ground to benefit him with his hips. From there, continuing to put pressure on, I'll bring the hand back into the inside. Now this is a key. Let's see if we can turn a little bit this way. So here, leg over, creating a wider base so that I can move this base in, and then immediately I readjust my base so that my knees become wide again. Open your guard, Tristan. Scooch over this way just a little bit. So look at my footwork. Here, over, over, and open again. Look at how good my structure is. Look at my feet. My feet should be touching each other. I see a lot of people opening their guards with their feet apart. I'm creating one giant structure. I want these structures joined. It makes this particular position stronger to defend against. If I have a leg out here and I'm in this kind of position, this leg isn't connected, my balance can weaken and I can break my posture. So everything here, 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 and again I adjust and I keep my feet together. Again, see my feet are touching? Now next, and this is what we originally turned from, I'm going to put my arm on the inside of his knee. Look how I bring my elbow back. Look how my shoulder's up. I'm lifting my shoulder up a little bit so that I have leverage to help push down and work with the body. So it's not just I'm pushing down with the shoulder, I'm pushing with the body as well. And I'm looking to open his guard. Close a little tighter, please. Got it? So, knee in the tailbone. My hand goes inside the joint. I'm not grabbing on top of the joint. I'm not out here where he could open his guard all of a sudden and put the foot inside. Right? So try to put the foot inside the arm, push away, right? I'm controlling the inside. If he decides to open that guard and try to open and go to a spider guard or something, I can open and control his leg because I'm on the inside of his knee. Can't do that on the outside. I can control his leg though when I'm inside the joint. It becomes a part of my arm. So, from here, I push down. The next thing I do is I immediately bring up my foot and I wedge. And then my other foot rotates. So let's go over here, Tris. As soon as I feel that start to slip off, my foot comes up immediately and I catch. My hand's on the outside of my leg. My leg is in the middle, still holding him here. Look at this foot. I can't leave that foot open. If I leave that foot open, his other leg will grab it. Now it's hooked. So I have to bring that leg over immediately. My feet are now together. I can drop the knee to the ground and staple. Don't get in the habit of doing this and leaving this out here. That'll happen. The steps have to go together. Every step I make protects me from something that he's going to do as well as advances my game. Hook, hook, now down. So now I have one leg under, one leg over. Think about the over-under pass with your arms. You have that with your legs here. Next, I'll come down and I hug, I trap the body. Let's turn back this way. So I reach this position. I still have to deal with his torso, right? He still has the possibility of hip escaping away from me. He could put his arms on my shoulder, push himself out, try to clear that leg. He could turn, bring the knee in, start to get me into a knee shield position. So once I'm here, I need to close that gap of his leg and hip. I need to control his torso. Normally I'll put a head under to control, to hug that body close to me. I would not recommend putting your arm over. I've seen people do stuff like this. That's a great way for Tristan to push on my shoulder and try to escape again. So I'll put my arm underneath. This allows me to post out with this hand a little bit if I need to, or it can control. I can start looking to attack. But having this hand free, and also another detail, if I'm passing and I grab the lapel, look where I'm grabbing the lapel at. I'm keeping everything tight and close. I can turn my head away and begin to shift my body out. Notice I still have my hook, right? When I take this leg out, shifting it out, I can put my hand here and move into north-south or 100 kilos, or I can keep it here. As I bring this down, this leg comes in, and then I use my hips to roll in. Look at that for a second. Come here. I want you to see the transition of how I move my legs. So let's focus on that for a little bit, okay? So again, I have to close this part of his body. Right now, if you look at us, we're in a pretty even 50-50 spot, with the exception of that I have his hook control. He doesn't have any control over my limbs right now, except for right here. He doesn't have my hands. He's got this connection. This knee comes in, it presents a whole nother array of problems that I have to solve. So I always look to kill that leg. Once I'm here and I'm above his hip, he can't use that anymore. It's going to be very difficult. And now I have leverage in my favor. So I reach underneath, I grab the collar or I grab the shoulder. From here, I can push the knee down, control the leg. I can sit out. Or if he's not utilizing, he's not grabbing anything, I feel pretty comfortable, I can turn here and then bring the hand in. But now look, a lot of people from this point in time will transition to a head and arm position. And when they do that, they'll put their foot down, they'll bring their leg out and they'll lift their chest up, and then they'll bring their knee in and they come to put their partner in a head and arm position. All of that movement from here to rotating and turning, look at all the space he has. Tristan can hip escape away if he wants to right now. He can roll in, try to counter, try to do a reversal. One of the things that's very important is having your hips extremely low and pushing into the side with your close hip. I'm going to give a shout out to Professor Rinaldo Santos from Winter Haven, Carlson Gracie. 5th degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Amazing man, really, really good friend of mine. We bring Professor Rinaldo in once a year to help us with this, to help us do a seminar so we get something. His side control technique from the Carlson Gracie lineage was probably one of the most influential adjustments I made to my jiu-jitsu when I became a black belt. Coming from the Gracie Baja lineage, we were taught to stay up a little bit higher on our hips. When we passed, when we went to, like, let's say 100 kilos, we would do this. Chest on chest, as much chest pressure as you can have. There's nothing wrong with that technique, but to close the distance really keeps problems from happening. I might be up and putting a lot of chest pressure in, but if I make a mistake, he has all that space to close into. So keeping our hips really low and connected is an important part of guard passing. Retaining that guard for those critical moments that you need to. Hold it. On your toes, pressure in, move a leg, move a leg. Keep your feet together. Arm back, keep still pressure here. Right, some people will tell you, oh, drop your arm into your partner so you can control their leg so they don't arm bar you. Be aware of it. I push into them, but I can also take this away as I need to. I break the guard. I lift the leg. I bring the other foot over. I hug. I keep this hand free. I take this leg out. I drop my hip to the ground. As this drops, this comes in. My knee comes in tight here. Bring your leg down. Or I can even grab underneath if I want to. Knee in. Connect your legs together. Rotate. Rotate into Keisugatami. Okay. That's a traditional pass that I use from a seated position. It's a very easy pass to do. Really focuses on getting your partner to one side and isolating them on that one side. All right? When you pass the guard, you have to deal with the legs, then the hips, then the torso. I have to be able to open this. He's got me in his guard. I can't go anywhere if I can't crack the guard open. Right? From there, I address his hips, taking off his leg movement, and then I'm addressing, controlling the torso and moving into my attack positions. Okay. Sometimes when we're in this position, and I move, and I bring the knee in, and I open up, and I go to push down the leg, I'll have a partner drop their hips, open up, and start to hip escape away. They're going to go into either knee, like a Z guard, or I guess you could call this like a scissor sweep guard, not a traditional Z guard, or they can keep the leg open and try to come up and lasso the arm, right? They can try to lasso, they can move up in different positions like that. So come back. So as I go to pin this leg and he opens up, the moment he starts to open up to move, go ahead, start to move a little bit. I'm gonna duck down and I'm gonna secure this, okay? I'm holding him down at first, right here, again in the middle part of the pants. Not out here towards the end where he could pull my arm, and close a triangle, okay? But I'm in the middle of his leg, pushing that muscle to the ground, all right? I keep my arm around it first, and then I can feed. From here, it's gonna be a little tough to do, but I can stay in tight. I have a couple options. I can either stack him, or I can just rotate my hips. Don't take the leg off. Keep the leg on, right? So keep the leg on strong. Again, on my toes, and I rotate the hip, coming around to the side. Okay, come back in. So, here, I'm doing the same setup. I'm in the same exact posture that I was before. Heads up, pushing down. He starts to move his leg outside, or he starts to change his hips right to this point. The arm is going to come in. I'll push down and the arm comes in and I cradle that shoulder. Right? Another thing that I can do rather than turning this way is I can come through. This doesn't feel good. there's a big stretch right here. Big stretch, let my leg go, bring my knee in. Case of Tommy. Okay, turn around. Scoot back just a little bit more. Good. Up on my toes. Same thing again. Knee over, one knee in the tailbone. I go to push this back. As I go to push this back, he preemptively opens his guard. That guard opens, I duck down immediately. I duck down, and I grab my hands together. And I come in. I close that space. Again, I'm on my toes. This is part of the techniques that Professor Hinaldo taught when he was here in the seminar. Notice that I'm not stacking on him, right? I'm not reaching his collar and lifting his hips way, way, way high off the ground. Nothing wrong with that, but I don't have to do that. I stay right tight here. Then I'm going to feed the lapel. Now look, when I go to feed the lapel, I don't open my hands and grab the lapel. Why? When I open my hands, I release pressure. His legs feel like they can open, and now maybe he could grab and start to underhook the leg or hip escape away. Yep, okay, come back. Posture, in, open, push, he drops down, open, down in, grab right away, gable grip. Now what I do with my top hand is I feed. I feed until I get where I want. From here I can continue keeping my grips just by keeping them tight here, or I can go under, right? Or I can grab with two hands. I tend to like to grab and then cinch this back up. And then again, it's the same thing. I'm on my toes, pivot on that knee until I pass. Right open. Under. Now, if I feed and I start to turn this way and Tristan blocks, he puts his hands on my shoulder and starts to pushing me the other way, all I have to do is take the arm and put it across, and now I come to the other side. So I can go one direction, the other direction. One of the important things in here was, again, taking away that space. I have to take away the space from Tristan's guard. Close guard. We're here. I need enough space for me to move so that I can use my leverage against his body to advance up in the game, to pass the guard, to get to side control, to get to mount, to get to back. Anytime Tristan gets space, right? If I keep good posture and I force him to break open that guard and he gets space, he can move away. He's got other things that he can do. So I don't let that space happen. The moment things open, I'm immediately in, penetrating that area, filling that area up. So now let's look at what happens if Tristan puts a knee across. This is all from sitting. Guard a little higher, please. Okay. Here we are again, starting the same thing. I'm on my toes. If my knee's already pretty wide, I won't take that extra step. I'll just put the other knee in the tailbone, touch the feet, and open them up again. Okay? So now let's say I go here and Tristan brings the knee across the middle. And he starts getting that Z guard, if you will, or the scissor sweep guard position. Okay? It's a knee shield. It's that kind of a thing. When he's in this position and the foot is on the outside, it's much easier for me to deal with. If he gets the position where his leg is on the inside and we have a half guard knee shield, then that becomes more difficult for me. Put the leg back out. So he does this, he puts the knee up to block. I'm immediately gonna hop over and block the leg. If I can, I'll come in tight. If he puts the knee up and he pushes away, I'll come in over here. Still stapling his other leg. I want this other leg killed as much as possible. Then this guy's gonna go down. I'm gonna push down with the ramp. As I push down with the ramp, I'll lay my head on his chest and I'm keeping his foot connected with his hip here. If I hold his leg here and tell Tristan to extend your leg, extend your leg. Come on, extend your leg. It's very difficult. If Tristan's foot is here and he has space, extend your leg. It's much stronger. He's got more muscles that can interact to help push. But if he's here, push, very tough. So I keep this connected. I keep him squished. It's very difficult. His body energy, I'm pushing into the ground, right? So if he pushes pressure with his knee, the knee's just gonna get directed right into the ground. It's not gonna go against me. I'm leaning into him. I always have my head against the chest. I always pass partners a lot with my head. I use my head constantly to provide a base for me, an anchor for me in some cases, or a post, a pillar. And it's beneficial because it can help flatten out your partner. So I put my head pressure against him here. My hand is also a little bit more freed up to do what I need to do if I need to use it. From here, I'm just gonna back step over, slide in. Put your leg back. Okay. Back step over, slide, down and in, and there I'm up again. Close guard. Up on the toes. Good posture. Don't be bent over like this. If your partner breaks your posture and you get to this place, Tristan, like hold my head, like you've got me, you know. You get out, you push on the elbow, you clear. They're holding you with both hands really, really tightly and trying to keep you down. You have to force your posture to come back up. Don't try to pass the guard while you're down here, right? I do this, I push this over, I get this leg out, and then Tristan bridges me over and he comes up, and now this happens. I don't ever pass the guard with my head down on the person. There are things there are some ways you can do that, but you have to have a different posture. If you're just in there, your hands have to be in a different place, right? So, here, again, up, open, any number of things that he can do. Just addressing the legs, right? If he comes across the knee, I can push this down, pass over. If he hip escapes to the side, I can come under. If he opens up completely, I can come under. Lots of things I can do.